Let's duck back down to the nation's capital and catch up with the Liberal Senator for Victoria, Sarah Henderson. Good to talk to you again, Sarah. We talk a lot about China. You must be very worried about the Australian newsreader Cheng Lei, that she might actually be being used effectively as a political hostage given Beijing's games with Canberra at the moment.
Well, Chris, good afternoon. And yes, I think we are all very worried about Cheng Lei. We've only just learned, of course, that she has been detained, and we're working very closely with her family in relation to that detention. But it is very, very concerning, Chris.
Well, I'm not going to push that very far because I do think it is very, very worrying, but presumably it would be the top priority of our ambassador in Beijing now to find out exactly what the issue is here. Is she a Chinese citizen as well? Because if that's the case, they will treat her only as a Chinese citizen. They will disregard her Australian citizenship, won't they?
Look, I can't really comment on that. Obviously, she is an Australian citizen, and so the Foreign Minister has been working with our ambassador in Beijing, but we just have everything crossed, frankly, Chris, to make sure that she can get out of detention as quickly as possible. It is, as I say, a very concerning situation.
Now, I want to ask you about your home state, the pandemic and borders. Now, this is not really a partisan thing. I think Gladys Berejiklian in New South Wales has been the best of the state premiers on this, but there's other Liberal premiers like Stephen Marshall in South Australia who have been as bad as some of the Labor premiers. But do you think that Daniel Andrews needs to look at how Gladys Berejiklian has handled this and just be a lot more flexible on borders and on the internal management?
Look, I know this is very much concerning our government, led by the Prime Minister. This will be a major issue of discussion when National Cabinet meets again on Friday. But certainly from a Victorian perspective, I'm deeply concerned about some of the really, I think, unreasonable border restrictions. We've heard today that there's this 50-kilometre zone announced by the Premier of New South Wales. But I'm dealing myself, Chris, with young students who can't get back to Victoria, from Birregurra to Yanco Agricultural College, two areas where there is no active cases. And I actually discussed this with the Border Commissioner yesterday and suggested that we need some proper principles in place so that families can travel from one location to another, for things like picking up their children or visiting a family member with terminal illness. There are so many grief-stricken stories, and this has to be resolved very, very quickly.
It looks like he's got a 6-month extension. That'll happen in Parliament tonight to his emergency powers. He seems to be just digging down on his same old approach, disregarding the facts about lack of community transmission, about how the young are just not affected by this. Schools are still shut down regardless, when this is essentially in Victoria an aged care issue.
Well, Chris, Victorians need hope. Victorians need a plan and a road back to reopen the economy, and I don't think Premier Andrews has provided that hope. He has announced that there will be a roadmap, but we are concerned. I believe that some of the restrictions are quite unreasonable, and we're seeing some very differing rules in different workplaces. I mean, I had an email from a woman who runs a dog grooming business. She's a sole trader. She works from home. She's absolutely distressed because she cannot work, and yet other very large workplaces are able to function. So there is a lot of inconsistency in relation to the rules, and of course, Chris, this is costing us $400 million a day, an estimated $10 to $12 billion by reason of these restrictions in Victoria, and Daniel Andrews has got to do better than he's currently doing. We desperately need a plan and a way out.
Thanks for joining us, Senator. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Chris.
Sarah Henderson there live from Canberra. Dan is going to reveal his plan on Sunday, he says, on Father's Day.